RSN's Racing Pulse.
Welcome back to Racing Pulse. It is 6 minutes past 9 o'clock. We've got plenty to come. We'll be crossing out the Caulfield to get the latest on those all-important Blue Diamond trials and track gallops this morning. We'll have the final field a little later as well. But the big news as far as racing that is concerned this morning is the announcement that the Victoria Racing Club has done the deal finally with Tabcorp and Network 9, and it will be the new free-to-air broadcaster of the Lexus Melbourne Cup starting this year until 2029 for the next 6 years. That is, we'll be watching the Lexus Melbourne Cup on Network 9. And Neil Wilson, the chairman of the VRC, joins me in the studio. Neil, good morning.
Good morning, Michael.
No doubt this has been a long-awaited and anticipated announcement. Be a fair bit of celebration and relief at VRC headquarters this morning, I would imagine.
Well, really pleased to finally make the announcement, Michael, that today we've put out the press release that talks to the integrated partnership between Tabcorp, the Nine Network, and the VRC. A deal that has been a long time coming, as you say, something thought about deeply as to how do we combine for the first time a wagering provider, a broadcast media network, and of course our club with the assets of the Melbourne Cup Carnival. And we're delighted to be able to announce today that that deal is now done. And as you say, we'll see the Melbourne Cup Carnival coverage now on Network 9 across all of their various platforms. And the relationship with Tabcorp has gone to another level. We've been together 25 years, and by the end of this deal, we'll have been together for over 30 years. And the next 6 will see the VRC and Tabcorp reach new levels as we have sponsorship arrangements and year-round engagement with them, as well as the domestic and international wagering rights for the broadcast as well. So, a very big announcement, a significant announcement, probably one of the biggest impacts on the club that we've seen for forever, really.
It is an unusual partnership, isn't it? I think it's probably the first in Australian sport where we've had the three-way connection and with a wagering partner as well. So how will it all work, Neil?
So we did a lot of research globally around what's trending in content, what's trending in media rights, what's trending in wagering, and the standout outcome of that work was that wagering organisations increasingly are looking to become media companies and have content. They're doing that because they want to draw in more audience to the top of their funnel that ultimately they bring them through as punters. And that's an important step. And while Tabcorp have been in the media space with Sky and a range of other media platforms for some time, this opportunity to give them access to rights for the Melbourne Cup Carnival and then to look to sub-license those to a freeware provider with the ability to then have their advertising embedded into that deal with the free-to-air provider is a unique situation, and we think it's a model that you'll see much more of both locally and globally as organisations look to get access to audience for various purposes. For Nine, it's about eyeballs across their platforms to drive advertising. For Tabcorp, it's about building that top of the funnel, as I said, to have more people be part of their customer base. And for the VRC, it's for us to make sure that our content, both from a racing point of view and everything that surrounds racing, from our fashion through to our entertainment and everything else that we do across Cup Week, which is well known and sought after, is of value. It gets the right value as well. So putting all those things together resulted in the deal that we've just done, and we're delighted that all parties will have a great result out of this deal.
It's interesting what you say about that, the wagering landscape, and we know there's that review that's going on federally, and we've seen other corporates move more into that creating content. There's talk of a new channel for Entain. So is that where you're talking about, you see the future where it's not necessarily what previously we've seen, it's wagering providers talking about odds and betting, it's them sponsoring production of content involved in wagering and racing?
Yeah, and it's a bit like what we do at during Carnival, Michael, on the course. We have people that come that don't necessarily come to watch the races or have a bet, but a lot of them get converted because they get a sense of the experience of the sport and the wonder of the sport, and really engage with the sport. If you think about that in a digital sense, wagering providers are looking to get a new audience to understand the sport better and appreciate the sport and love the sport. And we think that in a combination of what Nine will do with their enormous reach and what Tab can do with building out content isn't just purely about odds and replays and race coverage, that they'll build an audience as well that will become customers. So if you model that out over the 6 years, we can see a period during that time where we'll be able to point to increases in audiences across both Nine and Tabcorp, and both will have created new customers and access to their product and services, as well as the industry benefiting, because we've got many more people engaged in the sport and wanting to come and see the sport.
The bottom line is so important in racing at the moment. We know there's the economic pressures on the wagering numbers and the turnover. So financially, how important and how big is this deal for the VRC?
It's the biggest deal we've ever done in terms of financial impact to our club. It'll make a material difference to our balance sheet. It'll allow us now to invest in a whole range of things that we've been looking at. We're on public record that we're looking at the master plan for the Flemington precinct in terms of facilities, looking at a whole range of ideas there as to how we're going to take the next step on continuing to make Flemington a well thought after place to visit globally, and one of the best race tracks and facilities in the world. We have a whole range of things we're doing around our media and our community engagement as well. So all of those things now are on the table, Michael, and I think coming out of COVID, it's well known that the club suffered heavily from not having people attending the races. We had good support from the industry and from the government, but we were carrying a $70 million mortgage from our club stand build into COVID. Fortunately, we were able to come out with that number not being too different. Now we're in a position where we can start to see that number reduce and really get into investing again heavily and making sure that our members and their experience is where it needs to be as being a member of the VRC.
So the part of the announcement that I found interesting is that production, which I want to ask you about, a lot of it brought into the VRC production house, which I know you've put a lot of time, money, effort into over the last couple of years. Channel 9's the free-to-air. It also has the digital rights. It'll also be broadcast on all Sky platforms and the Tab app, with Tabcorp having the right to on-sell the coverage to other wagering providers. Where does that leave the industry TV station Racing.com as far as Melbourne Cup coverage?
Yeah, so Racing.com have absolutely been considered in the process, and there's a provision for Racing.com to have a sub-license with Tabcorp as part of the deal, and that process is underway. So we're looking forward to that reaching a conclusion and seeing coverage of the Melbourne Cup Carnival for the 6 years as well.
So they need to do a deal, Racing.com, to pay Tabcorp to have the rights to show this year's Cup Carnival. Is that basically how it is?
That's right.
And that's been the way it has been in recent years as well?
It's the way it's been for the last period of 5 years, when the rights were given to Network 10.
Yep.
And Network 10 had an arrangement with Racing.com. The difference here is that arrangement's not with the network, it's with Tabcorp as the master licensor of those rights.
During the 10 coverage of the Cup Carnival, those races were shown live on Racing.com as well. And I think previously, at one stage, when 7 had the rights, they couldn't be shown live. It had to be shown on delay on Racing.com. Has there been any discussion about that?
The expectation is it will be a live coverage, as it's been. There was a period historically where there were delays. There were delays through Sky as well. A lot of that got resolved through the process of the last rights deal, so we would be expecting that to be a live coverage. And
you'd like to see it, obviously, on Racing.com?
Absolutely. The research we did globally, actually, Michael, is very interesting. That, and I know this will come up, and we've had plenty of advice of sticking to one channel and sticking to one platform. The overwhelming advice and the evidence of the research we've done is that the more platforms you can be on with your sport, the better. And if you look at the NFL in the States and you look at a whole range of leading sports, their goal is to be on as many platforms, have their sport on as many platforms. The idea here, though, is to make sure that the audience that you're projecting that platform or providing that platform for, you get some diversity in that audience. So we certainly see with Nine, who are a major events broadcaster, you look at their calendar of events, you look at the Australian Open that's just been finished and the lead-in, the coverage, you look at the State of Origin, always in the top 4 or 5 of ratings in terms of programs year-round. And then this year, of course, the Olympics, will be there, and we'll come straight off the back of the Olympics into the Melbourne Cup Carnival, and you can imagine the promotion there. So there's the audience there that we'll capture, and then there's the audience on Sky for that wall-to-wall punting, and then there's the audience of deep racing coverage that you see on a Racing.com. So I think the mindset of it all needs to be, these are not normal Saturday race days through the carnival. These are not normal race days. These are very special event race days. The racing is world class, sought after, watched around the world, but the surround of what's going on needs the airtime to give it coverage.
I don't think you can get any better promotion, pre-promotion or cross-promotion than having the Olympics, which was going to be a great platform, hopefully to bring new viewers into the coverage as well, with Channel 9 holding the Olympics rights this year as well. Just on that, there has been a lot of discussion about whether it should all have been in the domain of Channel 7, who show the races 52 weeks or 50 weeks of the year. What was your thoughts on that? And was it too difficult to try and get New South Wales and Victoria together on those premium days to share Melbourne Cup, Golden Eagle, Derby, those types of days on one platform?
Yeah, it's a complex scenario, and we certainly went through that in some detail. The challenge we've got is that, and I just alluded to it, is that those 4 days are not Saturday race days, and going from one race to another it isn't going to work from the real estate of time that we require to give coverage to the event. During that week, we spend a lot of time covering a whole range of things, from what's going on with fashions on the field through to our sponsor obligations in the birdcage, through to a whole range of stories of the sport and stories of the carnival, particularly on Cup Day and Derby Day, where it's rich in history, and we like bringing that to the fore on those days. So there's a time consideration, there's a value consideration in terms of what our partners are looking for, and then there's the racing coverage, and we want to make sure that we don't compromise the racing coverage as well, and we expect this year to see a level of coverage there. We understand that people may think that it's a natural thing to go from one to the other, and all things being equal, if we're able to get that real estate and that coverage and the terms were what we were after, that would have made sense. But we felt that the 9 networks event coverage, and there are many other places to watch the racing, was another dimension to actually access a whole new set of a whole new audience and a whole new set of fans for our sport.
As part of the partnership, the VRC is going to become a bit more hands-on because, as I mentioned, you've got your racing production team led by Warren Sim, who does a great job there as well. So have you got any early visions on what the coverage may look like?
So like all sport, we've been looking at, but once again, sort of part of the research that we do, how sport's being consumed, how sport's being presented, and some of the advancements in graphics and advancements in how there are the different views of sport, even to a point of personalisation as to how you watch the races and what you as an individual want to see from a racing punter or a racing engaged person. What does that look like? So this year will be the start of that, but we would expect over the next 6 years that you're going to see some things that haven't been seen before in the way that we cover the racing, the way that we present the racing, and how we build the stories of the racing around the participants and build up a much better understanding of the sport, a much better engagement with the sport, particularly as we think about the next generation of fans. We really want them to love the sport and understand it and then become engaged in it, both on course and off course. And we've got a whole raft of things, Michael, that we're planning, and I think you can expect that our aim clearly is to have the best coverage of our sport globally. And we've set that as a goal, very clear goal. And we've got a team that we've been building over the last few years. And you've seen that on our social media coverage. Our content creation and what it's done to our social media coverage, we've had year on year 100% increases, and we're getting fantastic feedback of the coverage of our social media and the videos and the content and the stories that are emerging. That's really the beginnings of what we can expect to see now.
And just confirming, it's free to air, main channel, all 4 days, all races?
Exactly.
Yep. 9 also own 3AW.
They do.
Is there the opportunity to have the races broadcast on AW as well as what we do here at RSN?
Anything's possible, Michael. At the moment, we're focused on the broadcast for 2024, which isn't that far away. But the stable of assets that 9 as a media company have is obviously very impressive. Their audience levels and their ratings across, whether it be radio, their press coverage, and also their free to air, and their 9 Now coverage continues to grow from a digital perspective. So there's a lot of things to consider, and we're at the moment talking about this year's carnival, how we're going to cover it. But you can expect to see us working a whole lot of those assets differently going forward. And we're very excited about the opportunity of our content not only ending up on social media, but ending up being used in different ways across those different platforms.
And the race meeting or the race week itself, I mean, lucky enough, I've been doing it the last 5 years with 10, but I don't think we've had a better week of racing than what we did last year for the highlights throughout the 4 days and the crescendo on Champions Day. Is there any movement? Is there any tinkering, or will the 4 days remain as they have for the last couple of years? I know you've been discussing maybe some changes with Oaks Day.
Yeah, we're constantly reviewing that, and as you say, the Champions Day on its second year, TAB Champions Day was a great success last year, and we'll build on that again. We are looking at Derby Day, Cup Day and Oaks Day. We've got some ideas there. It'll be around sort of race positioning and some of the ideas we've got, working with Race Victoria on some of the lead-in race ideas as well. So there's more to come there, Michael. I think what we do know is that internationally we're seeing a lot more interest already, not only for the Lexus Melbourne Cup, but what we've seen last year after the first year of Champions Day was that some horses are now having a look to that day as well from the international areas around the world. So, and talking to Hong Kong as well about that, because that leads into their international day as well. So there's a few things boiling away at the moment, Michael, and I think you can expect another week of world-class racing this year with a few new ideas. Just
on the internationals, I know it's been a couple of years since we've had the review and the veterinary protocols put in place. Do you think we'll get more internationals wanting to come over this year and compete?
I do. I think we saw last year quite a shift as what we expected happened, which were people realising that this is here to stay. Things are getting better understood. Technology is improving each year, as we said it would. Access to facilities is improving each year, and people are really understanding that, how to go about it. And the other thing that's happened, Michael, is that there are other jurisdictions now adopting similar protocols. So this is now becoming a standard that is important for the welfare of our horses, and I think that's really changed the landscape. So this year, I think people are certainly looking to load up again. No one has ever told me since we announced those new protocols that they didn't want to win the Lexus Melbourne Cup, and I think it's certainly still top of the list for many international trainers and owners.
And there's no doubt about that. Just on the Cup itself, will it remain in the same time slot? There had been talk about should the Cup be run a little later in the afternoon in the broadcast. What are your thoughts on that?
Those things will be discussed as part of our thinking about how we present the race formatting over the next 6 years.
Yeah.
I wouldn't lock that in, but at the moment there's no plan change for 2024.
Well, it's exciting times ahead for Nine, the VRC and, of course, TAB with this partnership over the next 6 years. Closer to home, we've just come off the back of what was a really exciting Black Caviar Lightning Stakes Day on Saturday. Early numbers, you happy with everything on Saturday?
Yeah, it was great. It was a great day. We were fortunate to have sensational weather. We had a really nice mix of, obviously, the great race, and it was a super edition of the Black Caviar Lightning, and what a race it was. And we also had international guests. We have an alliance with Ascot and Goodwood and York, and we had races named after their clubs, and it was great to have representation from those organisations with us as well. But all in all, it was a great day, and looking forward to the next 3 Saturdays in March. We really have packaged now the Racing Spectacular, as we call it, which is has a shoulder of summer into autumn, being March, where we've got 4 Group 1 race days, and if you think about that, our view is that the Spectacular is 4 Saturdays of Group 1 racing. Our Carnival is 4 days across the week of sensational Group 1 racing as well, obviously highlighted with the Lexus Melbourne Cup. So we've got a goal to continue to build that autumn / sort of end of summer period with the Black Caviar Lightning is part of that. Really excited about what's coming up over March.
The entire autumn is looking phenomenal.
Yes.
We've got the Guineas coming up, obviously the Newmarket and the Australian Cup. Neil, congratulations on the deal. Thanks for taking the time to come in and give us a bit more detail. And the countdown is now on for the 2024 Lexus Melbourne Cup on 9.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate your support. Thank you.
Neil Wilson, the chairman of the VRC. Quick break. We'll head out to Ed Sadler, who'll give us all the latest in the build-up to the Blue Diamond.
The cream of the crop will go under the hammer on February 26 at the Magic Millions Tasmanian Yearling Sale.